So you just found our podcast. Maybe you're watching one of Isaiah's videos and you wonder to yourself, how long did it take him to get to a 50.5-inch vertical? Well, in today's episode, we're going to talk about exactly that. We're going to talk about how long it took Isaiah to get that good, how long it took me to get to my peak, and what we generally see in the athletes that we coach. So, Isaiah, I'm going to go ahead and put the focus on you. How long did it take for you to get a 50.5-inch vertical?
24 years.
Okay, but when you training age,
24 years.
you came out of the womb jumping.
I was training by playing as a little kid.
We did talk about your daughter and her development as a human and how they're like little Pokemon. So I'll give you that. But when did you start formal training?
24. No,
No, I was like, don't you dare say that again.
Formal training, I started when I was 14. So it took me, I was in the weight room specifically for jumping higher for 10 years before I got a 50.5-inch vertical.
Okay. And how long did it take you to get to a 40?
40 took me 2.5 years or 3 years. So around there, 2 to 3. I was probably 17.
Insane. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
not, yeah. When you put it in that, in that perspective, it kind of hurts.
Sorry.
So it took me, all right. So I started training when I was formal training in 7th grade. So what is that? That was 13. I was 13. And I touched rim at 5'6" after, well, I was just high jumping. So that would have been like what do you think my reach was? 7'3" or something like that?
At
7'4"?
5'6"?
I was probably 5'8" when I touched rim.
So you're probably like a 7'7", 7'6" reach.
Touching rim.
You had long arms though. You got to think Austin has a
7'7".
reach.
Let's say 7'7". So like 30 inches. It's probably 30 inches.
Yeah.
So to go from 24 to 30 took me probably like 6 months, and then to dunk took another 24 months. Well, probably like 18 to 24 months after that. So let's say that was what, like 35?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
36? And yeah, but I got taller during that time too. So it's probably 34. So it took me, let's say 2 years roughly, more than that, to get to 35, 36. And then from
Yeah.
there it really slowed down. But I also didn't have,
You were fully grown. At
training.
what age were you fully grown though?
I was 5'11" dude, let's pull up the high jump video of me when I was in 8th grade, and you can tell me when I was fully grown. You've definitely seen the
I've
video,
seen that,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Should
seen
we
it.
show the viewers? Let's show the viewers the high, the greatest moment of my life, my most formative years. But I was, if you type in 8th grade high jump, it's one of the first videos, bro. I was a man child, an absolute man child. Let's do share screen. Here we go. You see this? Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right. Do we want the audio? We're gonna turn that audio off. So we got, look at this. I used to run my steps back. All right. So look at me. What do you think? I'm probably 5'10". I might have been the same height I am now, honestly.
This was the 8th grade?
This is 8th grade. Yeah, spring. Bro, look at those hips. I could drive my knee up. That's crazy.
Wait, play that again. Play that jump you just did again.
That was pretty good, huh?
You were bouncy, dude.
Yeah, I was a pretty good athlete. I mean, at this point, I had trained probably 2 years. Yeah, 2.5 years. Look at that. Look at that straight leg swing. Doing like a.
That's a good ass jump, man.
Yeah, look at the takeoff position.
I would have got my hands on you at that age.
What's weird is I didn't do a double arm swing.
Get you a low rim.
Yeah, that was me in 8th grade. I was bouncy.
Bro, I think if you would have had a low rim, you would have been a freak.
Yeah, probably, but I didn't. But I did have this high jump hit. So let's see. What do we got here? This is glorious. I'm actually curious watching this back. What arm swing? Oh, what is this arm swing?
Straight.
What is
That was
that,
straight to
bro?
the side.
What is this? I don't do the clap. I'm planting like straight leg. This is fascinating. 8th grade John in his prime. But I'll tell you what, I threw that hip forward and yeah, I had bounce.
Damn,
So it's kind of crazy to go back and watch that. I would say to get
that's
to that,
wild, bro. I forget. I've told you this many times. I forget you're athletic until
I'm just old.
until
I'm old.
no, even now. Like I'm talking. I'm not even talking about that video. I'm talking like I forget you're athletic, but then you realize when you play basketball, because you guys, the viewers out there, you're used to the internet. And let me tell you something about the internet. It is not an accurate representation of the human population.
Wait,
When
what
you
do
go
you
to
mean
the
by that?
I saw Jumpers World do a post like this, or it was like a skit that some guy made, and he's like, "What being a track athlete is like, or what logging into IG is like as a track athlete." And then it's like some 13-year-old running like 10 something or like 30 or 11 something in the 100-meter, and then freaking Gout doing his thing, and then some other guys high jumping 7 foot in high school, and it makes you believe that that's normal, but it's not. And the thing about John is he has a 0.001% vertical as well. And you realize it when you go on a basketball court and you have John play basketball, and I'll be there, guarding whoever, and then someone shoots it, and then the rebound comes off, and then I'm like eyeing the ball, and then I just see this man flying through the air, skying above everybody and
Yeah,
grabbing the rebound.
snatch
And
that shit.
I realize I'm like, this guy is an athlete.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't really play basketball like that because I don't, especially defense. I think you see it. Offense, it comes out in rare occasions. If I'm really warm and I'm like
Yeah,
very competitive, and the other team doesn't know that I'm athletic, then I can usually get away with it. But if they know I'm
yeah.
athletic and they know I'm just going to drive, they're just going to foul the hell out of me. So I don't. It's not worth it. But you'll see glimpses occasionally. It's like when Austin hoops too. Like we'll just see
Mhm.
glimpses of it, and then we're like, "Oh, you're actually not bad at basketball."
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there
yeah,
are times I see him just throw up threes and they just brick house. So, like, it's kinda streaky. Um,
yeah.
but there are yeah, it's occasionally you see that. Anyway, so back to the results thing. I would say that was my best day ever at the time, like, by far. It didn't even come close. I had so much adrenaline during that. I probably didn't jump that height in high jump for another it was probably a year before I jumped that height again, maybe
You know what's
longer. Might have
crazy
been
about
longer.
you know what's crazy about you saying that is when I was 17, this was the summer right before college. I was 17 when I started college, if you guys didn't know that. I had this session where I went out, and it was one of those days where I didn't have to warm up. I just went out and like second jump, East Bay, like my best East Bay ever. I had a one-hander where like my head was at the rim. This was like a 9.8 rim. But I had like a one-hander where I was like right there, like freaking punched it. Best day ever. The session's actually on YouTube somewhere. And I didn't have a session that felt like that for like a year probably. Like that same
Really?
sensation. And the reason this actually was very top of mind for me recently is because the session I had on Friday felt the same. It's like you know when you jump and you don't try, but then it's like 3 inches higher than what your high
Yeah,
jumps
you
normally
see, the
are.
last time I had that happen was 2022, and it was the most glorious thing ever. But
Yeah.
it was
So those
like
days are like they're super rare, but every level of vertical I have ever had, have felt the same. Like me having that day on Friday doing, never done before dunks was giving me the same sensation as when I could only East Bay. And I had the same sensation when I could only do a one-hander. It's like that electric, like
dude,
sensation.
for me, it's so much related to confidence. Like, it is
Yeah.
100% confidence based on that. I Fabian and I were talking about it, and I was like, "When do you typically have your best jump days?" And he's like, "When I build confidence, like, week to week to week." And it's like when you have a good session into a good session into a good session, and then you have, like, a great session. And it's kinda funny because for you, it's a little bit of the opposite. Like, you're always gonna be able to dunk. You're not gonna have to worry about your confidence on that, you know what I mean? For
Yeah.
you or like Fabian, it's like he's always gonna be able to jump like 6'8" or 6'10" pretty much no matter what. But when he's consistently jumping like 7'2", 7'5", 7'6", then he knows like, hey, as soon as I get to a meet and I have a good day, I'm gonna jump. Like it's the cluster that
Yeah.
goes up.
Bro, the confidence thing for me is like there's levels of confidence. Like for me, it's always confidence. But then there's like this like super saiyan confidence. Like there's the confidence I have when it's like my contest dunks. But then there's the confidence where it's like, I'm gonna 360 under both off the backboard, and I know it's going down. Like there's that in the video. I'm gonna post the video tomorrow for last
I'm
session.
trying to I'm trying for a second to put myself in your shoes, and I physically cannot because
Bro,
let
the
me
perfect way
explain
to
to
describe
you
it,
in
in
my
the
head what
session,
that sounds like.
last session I was mic'd up, and then I tried 360 behind the back between the legs, and I literally go to Austin. I'm like, I'm hitting that today, and you can just see like there's like just belief.
I
Like,
heard you say that actually during it, your first attempt, because I watched it
yeah,
raw,
it's like
and
I'm
I was
hitting
like,
it today.
it
That's
was fascinating to watch that session raw, by the way.
yeah,
Fascinating.
but it's like that's like the levels of confidence. But I think it's still the same thing. Like for me, it's like because we're talking about what our top percentile of output is, and you have to be confident to hit that. I think when you're at a level where you can't dunk most of the time, the effects of not being confident are like magnified. Once you
No,
can
I
dunk
agree.
any given day, even on your worst days, like you generally just have you're confident that you can hit a dunk. But there's a different like to actually get to your 1%, it's like an even higher level of that you have
Yeah,
to
I
hit.
mean, like I was basically at that level when I came back off 2 foot, so my confidence was shot. Sorry, it was shit and it was shot. It was
Yeah.
shat, and I had to redevelop that. And it wasn't like, oh my gosh, dude, my dog is begging to go outside. I swear, she takes a shit inside. Fortunately, this mic is super long, so I yeah, like it took me a long time to get that confidence back because I went from basically being nasty on like my jumps. It wasn't the jumps, it was the lobs for me more so, but the jumps were massive. Like when I was at even when we had that session with Pooh in the UCF gym, like I
Yeah.
didn't have a great day. You actually had a really bad day that day,
That
didn't
was
you?
like my worst. I think that was my worst session of the year, which
Austin
is
had a
funny
great
because I
day.
tested 50.5 the weekend before that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I was like, not great, but it was a pretty good session. It was like a legit, obviously a college hoop. It was like legit 10 foot. I was like jumping decently, but it was really cold in there. I didn't warm up super well, and I was coaching Dom as well and Hunter, so I was kind of like all over the place. And it was okay. It wasn't. It was pretty good, but there were, I think the week prior to that, like there were a couple sessions of just like really good 1 foot sessions on, well, probably in a 3 to 6 month span on those anywhere from 9.7 to 9.10 really good rims. And I
Yeah.
had a couple good sessions on 10 foot, but not a ton. And but I was jumping high. Like I wasn't throwing my lob as well. Like there was the day where we warmed up at UCF and I was like dunk for you when you were warming up, and I was like, oh yeah, like I got better.
Yeah.
Like, but then
Yeah.
I lost all of that.
Bro,
And
yeah.
this, I guess, even though we started talking about progress and how long it takes, it really just goes to show you that it is the cluster of your performances, and it's not necessarily like indicative of your readiness. Like there
Yeah.
is a mental component to this. I feel like it's probably the most unspoken about and most important thing that we talk about, because like we're good at increasing your readiness, but
Yeah.
there's another aspect to it that you have to keep in mind, and that is like that confidence.
Bro, the
And
training is I think what instills that confidence.
no, I 100%
There
agree.
like
When
there's a
I'm not training
confidence.
hard, like it's just
Bro,
not good.
when you walk into a gym and you know you've put in 6 months. Actually, for me, it's probably like the 2-month mark. When I walk into a gym and I've put in 2 months of hard ass training, haven't gotten hurt, I'm really freaking strong. Like I just know it's gonna like you know what I mean? Like
I
you
wish
like
that was it for me, but that's not. It's the opposite. I feel worse after training more because I get so fatigued and I jump off one. Like,
yeah.
it does the opposite. I
Well,
will say this
it's the
though.
basement, bro. Like I think the
No,
basement
I do agree with
is
that, yeah.
is where it increases. Like when you've trained so much to me it's a fitness thing and I this is so like it's in my face from seeing Austin train, actually from seeing a lot of your sessions. When y'all just get in shape, like
Oh,
really
yeah.
good shape, you guys don't really have I've seen bad days where you guys can't dunk. And
Mhm.
but those days only
Right.
happen when you guys haven't like you guys have been hurt or like haven't been getting after it. when you guys are getting after it in training, like your minimum is dunking. Like I don't go into a session and be like, John might not put a dunk down today. Like I know, like right now, if we go dunk, I bet you this weekend we'll go dunk. You're gonna dunk because like
No, yeah, like
yeah,
I don't wonder that anymore. That's what I was saying though, is like I
yeah,
have to build up to that. And it is for me, someone asked me this the other day, and they were like, "Well, I have to read the comment." It was on the YouTube though, and someone basically was asking like, "What happened? Like I thought you had a 40-inch vertical at one point. Like I'm really confused." Oh, it was on the
I saw
session.
that comment. I saw that
Yeah,
comment.
and it was I actually didn't get to fully respond to it, but I sometimes people would be like, "Oh, you're making excuses or blah 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 blah." So I just don't even engage. I'm just like, I know why this is happening. Like, someone once said this was the difference between an excuse and a reason, and I was like, it's a good question. Like, but so he said, what's the backstory behind John not being able to dunk consistently? Someone fill me in because I remember him having a 40-inch vert off one. So yes, I did a 40-inch vert off one, probably more than that.
It's probably like 42.
Yeah, at my prime, and then went to 2 foot. So, anyways, I said I had a 40-plus-inch vert in Pittsburgh in September of 2022. Then I had an anxiety disorder, OCD, take place, and it pretty well disrupted my focus in training. I said it was bad. I ended up moving to DC and with my brother to try to mitigate some of the effects. I was sleeping 5 hours a night and had chronic panic attacks. After about 4 months, had it under control and decided to move to SF. During this time, I struggled to find facilities, sprint, lift, and do eccentrics like I was in California, or I meant DC. And I said, truly, it was a lack of facilities. As a result, I detrained. Then I moved to Florida into Austin's townhouse. I was training, but further detraining due to the lack of access to a track and appropriate weight room or court. I need a lot of space to dunk well, and that only happens with in a gym with a high ceiling like 24 in California or Eppley in Maryland. And I said Florida lacked both, and I couldn't sprint. So, and it pretty well explains it. Like, that was it. It was like, that's what happened. I detrained because I have to train. And that's exactly what you just said is when I'm training hard and I'm able to train hard, I get better. When my focus shifts towards other things, because sometimes it has to, either because of the business, sometimes it's mental health, sometimes just like life
Yeah,
responsibilities. That's just the nature of priorities, right? They shift according to what is number one and what is number three. And when I have like dunking, unfortunately, is not something that I can. It's not like I'm a professional athlete in the MLB or NFL where I have like access to endless amounts of facilities. You're not even like that. You have good facilities because you make it work for yourself. But for myself, I just don't have access to that all the time. It's been one of the big issues of living in Florida. And I just try not to make excuses. I just do the best I can with what I have. But it has made progressing hard because I am older. I am at diminishing returns. Like, and my life has changed a lot in the last year in terms of priorities. I have a partner that I'm serious about that I want to be with for the rest of my life. She likes to go out and do things that I wouldn't do if I were single and just training, right? Like it is a little bit of a work-life balance. Maybe that's just dinner and, having a drink or two, but even that is more than I previously would have done. Like to get to
yeah,
that 42-inch vertical, I was eating fairly well meticulously. I never went out to eat. I was very lean. I was able to sprint. I was able to lift all the time. Like I just had more ideal conditions to train. So now that I'm back to doing cuff one-handers on 10 foot pretty consistently, this is where I I can tell my readiness is about 90% of its all-time capacity. And it's just a matter of like getting my lobs on and figuring out some of that stuff. But my knee is healthy, which it was really messed up from all the plyos, and my strength levels, specifically eccentric strength levels, are skyrocketing right now,
yeah.
which is like one of the biggest indices of 1 foot performance. So like even if I'm a little bit heavier right now, I'm just gonna try to mitigate that by being a freak of freaks in the eccentric work. I was nearly fried yesterday, but
Yeah.
we got a little bit derailed. This was more about confidence in our progressions. So I guess it is somewhat related. Maybe we'll dive into a part two of this, but we do have to do a
I'll
group
probably
call.
title
So
it "The Importance of Confidence."
yeah, yeah.
I think
But thank
that.
you guys for watching. I need a new tripod. That's why my camera's like this. If you guys are watching this, like, comment, subscribe, and if it's on the podcast platform, make sure you leave 5 stars. We don't usually say that, but that would be super helpful. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And if you're interested in coaching, go to THPstrength.com. Bye bye.
See you.